Welcome, everyone, to Manifesting with the Moon. I'm Joshua the Psychic, and if you're catching this live, you're in for a treat because it's Halloween and it's October 31st, 2024. However, if you're not catching this live or around the 31st of October, that's okay because this video is evergreen, meaning you can use it at any time. The material here is good forever. You can always use it for your manifestations. So I think that's very exciting, don't you? I am Joshua the Psychic. Welcome back if you are familiar with my channel, and welcome aboard if you are not. You can check out my website, psychicsun.com, for readings, coaching, gift certificates, parties, and as well as your horoscopes for the current lunation. The links to all that is in the description below. So if you are catching this around the 31st of October, happy Halloween, of course. And you may want to check out your tarot scopes for the current lunation or the next lunation, which will be on November 1st, 2024, the Scorpio new moon. And I would say that this new moon is really, really important. It's the last new moon, I believe, in Q3. So you want to make sure you're getting your manifestations started. Because we have Mercury going retrograde and Mars going retrograde. So I would say now is the time to take action. Absolutely take action. So check that out in the description below. Also, this video is going to be about how you can use candles and wish lists for spells. I recently incorporated into my services spell work. So if you don't want to do this on your own, you can always call on me and I can light a candle for you. And sometimes that makes it easier for manifestation because you are detached, or I'm detached. If you have somebody else do a spell for you, they don't have as much of a stake in the matter. Plus, there's more energy focusing on your intention. So check out my spell services if you're so inclined. Otherwise, you're going to learn how to do your own spells in this video. Casmar, great to see you. Happy Halloween. I'm sorry I didn't dress, Casmar. It's been a very busy day. This is my busy season. So I hope you forgive me, but I hope you're having a happy Halloween, and it's wonderful to see you. Additionally, if you're looking for that perfect gift, well, give the gift that everyone wants, the gift of insight, a gift certificate to a psychic astrology reading in any denomination you choose. The link to that is also in the description below. Now on to our presentation. So tonight what we're going to do is discuss how you can leverage the moon for manifestation. To leverage the moon to your greatest advantage, what you want to do every cycle is determine which house the moon is transiting in your chart. And it's new moon, full moon, every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, you have a new lunation. And again, you want to check out the tarot scope video if you're not catching this around the 31st of October, 2024. Well, there's probably a tarot scope video for you for the current lunation if you don't know where the moon is and how that's transiting your chart. So in astrology, we have 3 different kinds of houses. We have angular, which are big deals. Angular houses are big deals. Succedent and cadent. So the horoscopes are divided into 4 quadrants. Each quadrant starts with an angular house. That would be houses 1, 4, 7, and 10. Then a succedent house, which would be 2, 5, 8, and 11, and then you have your Caden houses, which are 3, 6, 9, and 12. I'm going to talk about all of that means and how you can determine whether you are starting something, finishing something, or transforming something. We're going to get all into that tonight. So angular, succedent, and cadent houses, you can see here how the first house is angular, second house is succedent, third house cadent, and it goes around. And every time the moon, we have a lunation, it's going to be in one of these houses. And that's going to give you a key as to how you can leverage the moon to your greatest advantage. So angular houses, the 4th, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses, these are the activating points of the horoscope. So that's when you want to start something new, because the cardinal signs rule the angular houses. So whenever the moon is in the 1st, 4th, 7th, or 10th houses, they're angular. And the 4 cardinal signs rule the angular houses: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So for keywords for when you have an angular moon transit, it's about action, speed, initiative, leadership, moving forward, and advancing ahead. If you have a succeedent house transit, it's the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 11th houses. Now, these are the power signs or powerhouses of the zodiac. And power because they're stable, and it's about fixed energy. So the 4 fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And keywords for the signs and the succeedent houses are stable, steady, focused, accumulating, commitment, stamina, and concretizing. So if you have the moon in a succeedent house, you're going to want to stabilize, steady things, focus things, accumulate, commit, double down, essentially. And then if you have a Caden house transit, that's when the moon is transiting your 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th houses. The Caden houses are ruled by the 4 mutables: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Keywords: adaptable, flexible, changing. It's the thought you have before the action you take. It's about breakdown, transforming, transition, and shifts. And that could be fun. So essentially, every moon cycle, you're either starting something, you're finishing something, or you're transforming something. So that's going to make it easier for you. Because if a moon is in a cardinal house for you and you're wanting to transform something, that's not really good, because what you'd be transforming probably might not be the right thing. So you want to just use the moon to guide your magic or whatever direction you're going into. So the big picture perspective, when you're dealing with candle magic, manifestation with the moon, are you in a starting initiating cycle? Are you in a building finishing cycle? Are you in a transforming transitioning cycle? And it's a nice thing to do, to ask yourself that every moon cycle, even if it's not a matter of the moon is in a Caden house, a succeedent house, an angular house, etc. So your Cardinal Cross, say the moon is transiting your 1st house, your 4th house, your 7th house, or your 10th house, you're dealing with cardinal energy. And the thing is that when you're creating your wish list for your moons, yeah, you want to have the focus be on whatever house the moon is in for you, but you want to definitely vary up your elements, meaning you want to make sure that you have representation of the fire houses, the water houses, the air houses, and the earth houses, because all of those elements are going to make your manifestations manifest more quickly. Because essentially everything that you want in the world, it's all about making sure that your elements are in balance, that they're aligned. So if you have a 1st house transit, you want to think, I am. What are you putting after that phrase? I am happy. I am in love. I am rich. I am well employed, whatever it might be. It's about your identity. So you might want to self-identify, if you have a 1st house transit, as somebody who would be able to get that job, who would be able to get that ideal person. 1st house also has to do with your approach. How are you going to approach things? What's going to be your personal style? How are you going to present yourself when you're going after your goals? 1st house is also good for like a redo of your personal style, your personality. And the 1st house has to do with all firsts. So if you're looking to make some major changes, for instance, the new moon currently, if you're catching this around the 31st of October, 2024, we have our new moon in Scorpio on November 1st. So those who have a Scorpio rising or who are Scorpios, they're going through a 1st house transit. So then the other, another cardinal house would be the 4th house, your IC. So this is a very emotional house. The key phrase is I feel. So say you have the moon transiting a cardinal, your 4th house, you would want to ask yourself, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel nurtured and nourished and cared for? Are you looking to start a family? Are you looking to strengthen your emotional bonds? Are you looking to feel just more emotionally secure. Because that's really what the 4th house is about if you're having a 4th house transit. It's also about your foundation, where you came from. And if that's not happy for you, where you're coming from, well, you can create a new foundation when you're having a 4th house transit. It also aligns with the Divine Mother. So when you're having a 4th house transit, the name of the game is to feel as perfect as possible, to feel all secure and tucked in, and making sure that you're really connecting with that Divine Mother. And that's going to make everything easier for you. And then you might have a 7th house transit. The moon might be in the 7th, and that is all about your partnerships, house 7. So the key phrase is I balance. What are you balancing? Who do you want to balance? What do you want to be the reciprocal of? If you're looking for a strong man, are you being the reciprocal of that? Meaning, are you being a woman who is allowing herself to be taken care of, which is one of the main things I come across in my work with clients, is that they want men to step up to the plate, but how are they going to step up to the plate unless you're allowing them to, right? So it's almost like you want to make sure that you're in your divine femininity if you're looking for somebody that embodies those masculine traits, and you want to be in your divine masculinity if you're looking for somebody to embody those feminine traits. So it's about your relationships if you're going through a 7th house transit, your attractions, and your audience. So if you have the moon transiting your 7th house, it's a good time for you to decide what kind of relationships you're looking for and how you want to connect with your audience. And then you have your MC, midheaven. That's a 10th house transit. That's all about your career. The key phrase is I achieve. I achieve what? What do you want to achieve? And a transit in the 10th house is all about your status, your achievement, and also the Divine Father. If you have a 10th house transit, it's a good idea to say, okay, I really need to be more disciplined in this area. Where do you have to tell yourself no? Where do you need to set guidelines? Where do you need to draw boundaries and draw lines? Not just with yourself, but with other people too. Now, if you're going through a fixed house transit, meaning the moon is transiting your 2nd, your 5th, your 8th, or your 11th, you're stabilizing, right? You're fortifying. You're finishing things up. If you have a transit, the moon's transiting your 2nd, 5th, 8th, or 11th houses, you want to double down. You don't want to start something new when you're almost at that finish line. So if you have any 2nd house transit, what do you want to have? The 2nd house is about your money. It's about your movable property and about your self-worth. So if you're looking for more money, 2nd house transit is really good for that. I have what? I have extra $1 million, whatever it might be. If you're going through a 5th house transit, it's I will. What is your solar plexus, right? The center of your abdomen is I will, right? So it's all about pleasure. The 5th house transit, if you're going through one of those, has to do with pleasure, creativity, and things that you really love. If you need more joy in your life, that 5th house transit is going to be really helpful for you. And you may have the moon going through your 8th house. If that's the case, that's a very, very scorpionic, Plutonian energy, and something is probably going to end if you're going through an 8th house transit. So you want to really get in touch with your desires. When you're going through an 8th house transit, you're feeling things to the nth degree. You're going to be feeling very Scorpio. Scorpios are very much more in touch with their primal impulses than the rest of us. So you might be feeling things very, very deeply if you're going through an 8th house transit, and you want to say, what is it that you really, really desire? Maybe it's sex. Maybe it's further intimacy. It also has to do with other people's resources. Maybe you want to go into business with somebody else. And it also can pertain to major transitions, major deaths, rebirths, i.e. ending a job, ending a marriage, moving across the country, etc. And if you're going through an 11th house transit, that's Aquarius, Uranus energy. It's I know. So this is a good transit for you in regard to your friends or your tribe. Also, humanity, the world at large, your community, and your aspirations. The 11th house, if you're going through an 11th house transit, the moon is going through your 11th house, you want to really think, why not? Because the 11th house essentially says that there are no dangling carrots in the universe, that if you have a desire that comes with it, the built-in prerequisite ability for you to achieve it. So you always want to ask, well, why not? I could do this, right? So those are all great. And then our mutable cross. So say you have the moon transiting your third house. You know, it's a matter of what are you transforming? What are you moving into? How are you transitioning? And the third house has to do with Gemini and Mercury. It has to do with your communications. Its key phrases, I think. What do you want to think about? Where do you want to go on a regular basis? Because it has to do with your daily environment. And also your short trips. If you're, for instance, wanting to utilize your knowledge that you've acquired and write about it, that would be a third house thing. If the moon is transiting your sixth, it's time to get yourself really, really organized, right? It's the Virgo house. It's the sixth house. It has to do with Mercury. It's about analysis. So the sixth house transit, if you have the moon transiting your sixth, it's all about determining how you can make your life run like a well-oiled machine. What do you need to have streamlined and in place to live a life most efficiently? Because when we have things that are in the way or don't have any practical purpose, they're taking up space and they're taking up energy. Think of a highway with a whole bunch of cones, right? Those traffic cones. It's going to slow you down. You don't want to have anything around that doesn't serve any practical purpose when you're going through an eighth house transit. Also, it's a great time for you to make habits and routines that are good for your health, your work. If you're going through a ninth house transit, it's Sagittarius Jupiter. It's all about expansion and growth. Very important. If you're going through ninth house transit, you do not want to shrink or cower or hide or try to be invisible, which I understand. A lot of people, if they've gone through trauma in their life, the mentality is if I'm invisible and nobody can see me, I'm safe. But if you're trying to make it in the world, especially in regard to entrepreneurship or doing your own thing, you can't shrink. It's the exact opposite. Shrinking means death, whereas before, metaphorically, standing out and being visible meant death, metaphorically. So you want to always allow yourself, if you're having an eighth house transit, take a leap of faith and share yourself with others, share yourself with the universe. Ninth house transit, the key phrase is I aspire. What do you aspire to do? Maybe you aspire to inspire, right? It's all about expansion and growth. Maybe you want to go on a trip. Maybe you want to make a big move. It could also have to do with teaching, publishing, or broadcast. Getting your message out there, sharing yourself with the world, experiencing more of the world, and allowing the world to experience more of you. If you're going through a ninth house transit. And if you're going through a 12th house transit, you're going to be ending something most likely. A 12th house transit, I believe it's a good transit for you to determine your karma. What paradigms or patterns of behavior do you find yourself always in? And you can catch this by saying, this always happens. I don't know if you'll use that voice. That's my honorary voice. This always happens every single time I get a job. I have a boss who I don't like and blah, blah, blah. And every time we go out to dinner, I have to pick up the bill, blah, blah, blah. Any of those things, that's a 12th house pattern or paradigm you've got to get over, right? Because the common denominator in all these situations is us, right? And we all do it. So you want to think about what stories you keep going through all the time and you're sick of. And it has to do with your subconscious. So it's a really great transit if you have the moon in the 12th house. It's a great transit for you to really work on your limiting beliefs, your subconscious. It's a good time for extra sleep. And you're probably ending something. You're probably transitioning into a new state. So essentially, when we're talking about manifestation and the moon especially, it's about imagining and releasing. And remember, if you've taken my other classes like the spiritual laws of the universe class, that's all that we're really doing. We're working with the masculine energy and the feminine energy. Masculine in this instance would be imagining, right, taking action, and then releasing, letting go would be your feminine energy. And the big thing in terms of all of our lives, what we have to do, irrespective of our gender, is to balance the male and the female. You can't be go in your masculine energy all the time, or you're going to burn out and then you're going to get sick. And you can't be in your divine feminine doing nothing because, as you know, I'm sure you know, nothing will happen. Nothing will get done, right? So it's all about imagining and releasing. And on the new moon, we have right after the new moon, we have a waxing cycle, and that's when we call in, When we invite, we plant seeds and we imagine. And that's what's happening now if you're catching this live. So you're setting your intentions. The new moon, it's like a tabula rasa, clean slate. And you get to plant seeds for whatever you want. Now, 2 weeks later, you have the full moon and then the waning cycle. And that's when you want to let go. You could say, I'm banishing blocks to my goals, releasing any energy. Essentially, the key is when you're working with manifestation. Haley, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. I hope you're having a wonderful Halloween. So the key is when you're doing any of this stuff, you don't want to insist and you don't want to resist. So, and you'll probably have seen this. Like when you have say you're going on an interview and you have a job that you really, 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 really want. You probably won't get it because there's too much insistence and resistance to not having, insistence that you get it and resistance to not getting it, that it makes it an awkward feel. The vibe isn't easy. That's why when we apply for jobs and interview for jobs that we really don't care about, like I'll get up right now, I don't need this. That's when you typically get the job. At least in my experience, it's been that way, right? Because you don't care and the energy is light and there's not a lot of pressure. So the same thing when you're working with the universe and the moon to manifest. You don't want to be desperate, holding on, this has to happen. That's not a playful, fun energy. You want to allow yourself to play with the universe and mold the clay, so to speak. And you're the clay. Because at the end of the day, you're not changing the moon, of course, and you're not changing other people. You're changing yourself. You're changing yourself to align with the vibration that you want. So you're magnetized to it. So you're attracting it to your life. You're just changing yourself. Because essentially, everything that you're going to manifest, it's all a reflection of what's already going on inside of you. What magic is, or lighting candles, or wish lists, and all of this stuff, it's you zoning in and saying, this is what I want, right? So you're just taking the bull by the horns, right? And changing yourself because nothing's going to change unless you change, right? So it's a matter of making sure you're not being too insistent or resistant with what's going on. So during eclipses, during the new moon, we imagine. During the full moon, we release. During the eclipses, we take a beat. Do not do shit under the eclipses. Not wise. Just don't do it. It's too complicated. It's very, very tricky, and you could be creating lots of problems for yourself. And if you follow me, you'll always be told it's an eclipse, no candles. And if for some reason I'm not around, which is a very macabre thought, but if I'm not, there's a way for you to find out whether or not the moon is new, full, or if it's an eclipse. But I should be around. So yeah, we relax during the eclipses and let nature take its course. So if you're catching this around the 31st of October, 2024, well, this is like the first lunation in a while that you're actually getting a green light to light candles and make your wish list. And also, you know, Mercury's going retrograde, Mars is going retrograde. Now is the time. If there's anything you want to manifest, make haste. Okay? Like I say that, you know, you just got to get organized. You don't want to rush into anything, right? But you want to get your shit together because it's only going to get more challenging as time goes on. So get moving as soon as you can. I feel like with the Scorpio energy, you can get a lot done. You know that expression, moving heaven or hell to make something happen? I believe a Scorpio probably came up with that because they're very, very determined. And when they want something, their desire draws it to them. Because desire can also be perceived as an action. So imagining for the new moon helps you to get comfortable with your desire so your vibrational match to it, thereby attracting it to you by virtue of like attracting like. So you're imagining and you're getting comfortable and familiar with what it is that you want. So when you're doing a wish list and you know, and you'll find this later out in the presentation, I think it's a good rule of thumb, do candles under the new moon and then let things be under the full. Like let things rest, right? So with the new moon, you're in the imagining cycle. And the first thing you want to do is check your chart. What astrological house is the new moon activating? And you want to make wishes around that area. Now, for instance, if it's a first house transit, you could say, oh, I want to get in really good shape. Second house transit, I want more money. Third house transit, I want to learn something new. Fourth house, I want a new home, etc. All right, so find out what house the moon is in, is that's going to give you an idea of where you need to zone in your energy. When you're doing a wish list, up to 9 items. Choose up to 9 things you'd like to call in or invite into your life over the next 6 months. You don't have to do up to 9. I would just say no more than 9. That's for sure. I feel like it's always easy to just do 4 because then you have all 4 elements. Ideally, what you want to do is choose goals that align with all 4 elements. So I would say that maybe 4 minimum, that might be good. And just make sure you have all elements accounted for, meaning you're making wish list. Your wish list is comprised of a fire thing having to do with either the 1st, 5th, or 9th houses, i.e. Your personality, your appearance, your fun, your play, your romances, as well as your foreign travel and expansion, for instance. And we'll talk more about what that means. But you want to get as much balanced energy in your wish list as possible, because if we're zoning in, I want this, like that's not, you need all 4 elements to make your manifestations stable. And we'll talk more about what that means. So don't be too specific. Better to ask for a handsome man than a specific handsome man who you do not know. This person could be your worst nightmare, right? And it's also just a good idea. You always want to keep it clean and do the right thing. You never want to, unless obviously you have their permission and they want you to do any spell work on somebody else, right? Because that's just not cool and it's only going to come back to you anyway, right? So you don't want to be too specific because we don't know. As confident as we might be, this is the job I want, or this is the man I want, or this is the house I want, you do not know. There are a lot of variables you are not aware of at present time. So it's better to be general. I want an apartment in Beacon Hill as opposed to I want 16 Myrtle Street, if that makes sense, right? Oh, yes. Reminds me of a Jewish saying, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. Yeah, well, that in the tarot with the 9 of Cups, that's what we always say with that. Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to be too specific. You want to allow yourself to go general. And then, like we said, mind your elements. Ensure all 4 elements are represented by the items on your list. You don't want everything to be about money. You don't want everything to be about like the earth realm and, things like that. Your status, your money, your organization, your you don't want everything to be one thing. You want to balance it out. You want to have play. You want to have love. You want to have money. You want to have air and learning. So mind your elements. So if you have the new moon in the 1st house, so if you're a Scorpio or this transit, if you're a Scorpio or Scorpio rising, it's all about your identity, health, your direction in life. It's all about your new beginnings. If you're having a 1st house transit, it's a big deal. And it's an opportunity to set yourself up for the next chapter. What is your life? What does the life you always dreamed of look like? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? What's next? What's the new story? What new character are you playing? So the 1st house, the house of self-assertion, it's ruled by Aries and Mars, and its color is red, and its day is Tuesday. So if you're going through a new moon transit in the 1st house, I would say, obviously, you can light the candle on the day after the new moon, right? I like waiting a day or 2 after. If you're in luck, and if it's close enough to that new moon, I would try to get your candles lit within 3 days of the new moon. But ideally, if you're going through a 1st house transit, you'll light it on Tuesday, and a good color for your candle is red. There's only one color that rules the zodiac sign of Aries, and that is red, right? And if you don't have a red candle, or any candle really, get a white candle. And then you can, because white is the combination of all colors, and that will take the place of whatever color you're playing with. So say you have the new moon in the 2nd house. This is a great one for increasing your assets. It has to do with your income, what you value, what you need to sustain. It also pertains to your voice. So if you're wanting to express yourself more, that could be a second house transit. It also has to do with money, your sense of security. It's an opportunity to improve your financial situation. You may want to ask yourself, how can I better take care of myself and hone my practical abilities? This is known traditionally as the house of finance. And it's ruled by Taurus and Venus. Ironically, the color for Taurus, you would think that grounded Taurus would be brown or green. It actually is sky blue, the color of the throat chakra. And earth tones you could also associate with Taurus. And your day is Friday. So if you're going through a second house transit, Friday is a good day for that. So if you're going through a second house transit, I would get a blue candle. If you want, maybe it's a green candle. It'll symbolize money, or a brown candle if you want to talk about, to symbolize security or stability. And you could light it on a Friday if you have that luxury, i.e. if Friday isn't too far away from your new moon. So say you have the new moon in the third house. This is where you go, your community, your communications, any news that you get, any information. And it's an opportunity. A third house transit is an opportunity for new places, new discoveries, new people. It could be as simple as going to a new coffee shop every day, taking a new class, having new chats on the phone on a regular basis. The third house is ruled by Gemini. So there's a lot of stuff that's incorporated in the third house. It has to do with your neighborhood, your neighbors, your siblings, your short distance trips, your mindset, etc. But you might want to ask yourself under a new moon transit, what do I want to learn about myself? What do I want to share? What do I want to implement in my daily routine? So it's about communication. It's ruled by Gemini and Mercury. And colors, if you're going through a new moon transit in the third house, get a blue candle or a yellow candle. And ideally, you'd light it on Wednesday. And remember, if you're going through a third house transit, you're transitioning, right? And that's really key. And if you can get in your mind, oh, I'm transitioning now, I'm starting something now, I'm finishing something now, that's going to help you with your manifestations. Now, if you have the new moon in the fourth house, this is angular, this is a big deal. It's about your home, your family, your foundation, your security, what makes you feel safe and secure. So a new moon transit in the fourth signifies a renewal opportunity within your home, family, or your history. It's a new chapter of your emotional story. What is the chief emotion you're going to be experiencing? Is your life, if it's been an endless series, if your life has been an endless series of sighs, maybe it's a matter of you're going to allow yourself to experience more excitement and joy, right? So you want to think about what you're transitioning to. And also, I think such a transit is very, very important. Fourth house transit is very important because it's about what you're emotionally comfortable with. It's your degree of security. It's the status quo in the emotional realm. And if you're wanting anything, the first step is really being okay with peace. And I know that might sound ironic. Well, why wouldn't I be okay with peace? You would be surprised how many people are not able to handle peace. They're not ready for peace. And therefore, it's hard for them to manifest anything because they're not staying in place. So definitely look at your emotional story. What new emotional story do you want to have? Oh, I know. Taurus is your polar opposite. I value anyone practical. Yeah. That's very true. You're a Scorpio. So Taurus is your, but I will say, out of all the polarities, Taurus and Scorpio, I think, might get along the best. Like, if they're in a relationship, it really does work. I find that a lot of Taurus Scorpio couples they do very well together. So that could be helpful. Unlike some of the other polarities, they don't really do well all together. How can you improve your home life with a fourth house transit? What will make you feel more cared for, cherished, and loved? And if you're going through a fourth house transit, I would get a white candle, silver candle, black candle, a gray candle. Think of the colors of the moon. I would light it on a Monday. And again, you're starting in a new emotional story. And if you are going through a new moon in the fifth house, this is very, very fun transit. It's about your creativity, your children, anything you really, really love, anything that lights you up with joy. It's about romance, passion, play. So a new moon transit is an opportunity for you to follow your heart and to light up your life. Like that song. Remember that song? Light up your life. So the question you might want to ask yourself, what's the next chapter in your love story? Are you going to have a new love? Maybe it's a new business. Maybe it's a new project. Maybe it's a new work of art. Maybe a child. That could be the case. So if you're going through a 5th house transit, you may want to get a color candle that is gold, yellow, or orange. And I would light it, of course, on a Sunday because it's aligned with Leo, right? And you're doubling down. You're sustaining. You're not starting something new. You're not transitioning. You're holding on to what you got under a 5th house transit. And, anything that you're already doing, you can make it more fun. So if you have the new moon in the 6th, this has to do with your lifestyle, your routines, your working environment, the nuts and bolts of your daily operations, service, and health. So a new moon in the 6th house is an opportunity for a new and improved way of life to ensure your health and your well-being are all up to snuff. This could be transitioning into a new job, right? Transitioning into a new diet. Maybe you're going from one kind of diet to another, or one kind of workout to another. And you really want to ask yourself, how can I improve my health and my way of life? So if you're going through a 6th house transit, I get a green candle, maybe earthy colors. That could be brown. And even muted shades, like a gray candle. I think muted shades really align with the 6th house more so in a lot of ways. And you might want to light it on Wednesday, Mercury's day. And remember, you're transitioning. You want to just clean things up, right? Now, if you're going through a new moon in the 7th house, well, this is really good for your relationships. You get a new start in terms of your partnerships. That's your long-term committed relationships, i.e. your spouse, your best friend forever, business partners, etc. And the new moon in the 7th house is an opportunity for new relationships and contractual agreements. So when you're going through a 7th house transit, what new relationship story do you want to unfold? What new contracts do you want to have? If you're going through a 7th house transit, again, that energy aligns with Libra. So you might want to get a green candle or a pink candle, and you might want to light it on Friday. And remember, you're starting, keyword for angular cardinal houses, starting a new relationship story. Now, if you're going through an 8th house transit, I think part of the reason why 8th house transits are so tough is because we're supposed to double down and sustain. At the same time, it is letting go, right? And 8th house is all about death and rebirth. The 8th house, it can bring out the darker aspects of our psyches when it comes to joint resources, secrets, big change. The 8th house has to do with everything that you get by virtue of other people's stuff, their money, their trauma, their mother-in-law, the wet towels they leave on the floor, their assets, their family, etc. Everything comes with a price. And as they say, a woman who marries for money winds up earning every red cent. So it's an opportunity to set or dissolve a boundary. Again, if you've been following me for some time, you know, if something makes you feel good, lean in, release the guard, let the person in closer. And if somebody is undermining your emotional security and making you feel bad, for the love of God, set a boundary and protect yourself. So questions to ask yourself, what have you inherited from others that you need to release? Like, that's not your stuff, right? And you don't want it anymore. Or it could be a matter of, oh my God, I really want to commingle with this person. I really love this person. I want to become one with them, either energetically or metaphorically, etc. And I feel like with the 8th house, you know, you can really become one and blend with not just a person, but a work of art, a song, a dream, etc. So it's about sharing and connecting. Oh, yes, that is interesting. That's Scorpio's color. Dark reds and black. Dark red for sure. Burgundy. Yeah. I bet you look great in burgundy. So what do you got to release? Where do you want to combine or share resources with others? If you're going through an 8th house transit, I would get a dark red candle, burgundy, claret. Is that the name of the red? Maroon or black. I love black candles. Those are great. It might be good to do red just to give you a little bit of extra energy. Black is probably a better candle color for releasing or ending something, like under a full moon. If you absolutely need to do a full moon spell, it might be good to do it. Have a black candle. Tuesday, Mars's day. And again, it's tough because you're having to let go, but you're also having to sort of stabilize. So you're stabilizing while you're letting go if you're going through an 8th house transit. Now, the 9th house is a really nice transit. It's all about your aspirations, new experiences, your spiritual beliefs. It's an opportunity to expand your horizons and make strides toward your aspirations. So when you're going through a 9th house transit, what's the next quest that aligns with your aspirations and expands your experience? What's your next quest? Where's the new journey? And it's the house of expansion. This is really fun. It's ruled by Sagittarius, Jupiter. And you might want to get a purple candle or a navy candle. And I'd light it on a Thursday. And remember, you're transitioning. What are you transitioning when you're going through a 9th house transit? Going through a 10th house transit, this is angular. It's a big deal. Because when you go through a 10th house transit, it could affect your appearance, your personality, your home, your partnerships, etc. So when you hit an angle, it has a tendency to, almost like a pinball machine. When you're playing pinball, it hits the other angles. So when you're going through a 10th house transit, about your reputation, your career, your life mission, your status, and really how you spend your time. What are you known for? And I feel like a 10th house transit, especially because it aligns with the Divine Father, like, if you're not going to do something professionally and you don't want to be known for it, you might want to think about how much time you're spending in it, right? It's an opportunity to evolve the role that you play for the world when you're going through a 10th house transit. Ask yourself, what's the next chapter of your occupational story? What's going to help you reach your goals? So it's the house of status if you're going through a 10th house transit. It's ruled by Capricorn. Saturn is aligned with the 10th house. Its color is black. You could, I guess, if you're looking to use a different color candle, you probably might want to use an earthy colored candle like green or brown, but technically it's black. And Saturday is the day for Saturn. And it's a good day for you to light a candle on Saturday if you're dealing with anything that's Saturnian or has to do with your career. However, I feel like Saturday is best reserved for ending things. Like, you never know what's going on, right? You never know what's going on, meaning you could have a new moon transit, but you absolutely need to end something. In that case, you're going to have to rely on Saturday, right? Am I going to be posting this to Substack? Yes, I think that's a really good idea. I'm sure I will. I'm not sure exactly when, but stay tuned for that. Thanks for the question, Haley. So additionally, you can do it on a Saturday. That's the best day for a 10th house transit. But again, that's just a suggestion. And 11th house, you have an 11th house transit. It has to do with belonging, the gains that you gain. So it could be pertaining to big lump sums of money that you get actually in 11th house transit. So you could wish for that. It has to do with your 11th house networks, your groups, your hopes, your wishes, your friendships. If you're going through a new moon transit in the 11th house, it's an opportunity for a new alliance. Think of a new group or a friendship. You could grow your following, your fan base. If you're going through an 11th house transit, you might want to ask what benefactors or returns on your investments would you like to see? Maybe you've been putting a lot of energy into a big dream. And you're like, you know what? It's ready to burst. What do I want? And what opportunity would mean the world to you? Think big. If you're going through an 11th house transit, definitely thinking big. It's ruled by Aquarius. It's known as the house of friendship. Blue colors, neon colors. Aquarians are really wacky. You zig and they zag. So I would say you might even want to make an original candle. Maybe you're decorating your candle or doing it in multiple colors. Have fun with it. Saturday would be for that as well if you need to, but I feel like, again, any day is probably good. If you have to choose a day, you want to make it absolutely on the money, you could make it on Saturday. And again, you're doubling down, right? 11th house is transit is best for goals that you've already made because you're wanting a return on that investment. And then finally, your 12th house. This has to do with your imagination, your dreams, and your past, your connection with spirit. It's the house of endings. And it's an opportunity, a 12th house transit, to resolve any bad habits, any thinking that doesn't serve you, any memories that keep you stuck. And when you allow yourself to heal the subconscious mind, you see things that you couldn't see before. Oftentimes I hear these stories of like these women that are with their girlfriends, and one says, "Oh my God, did you see him? He totally checked you out." Really? I didn't see that at all. Well, she's not in that vibration to recognize herself as beautiful and worthy of being checked out, right? So when you get rid of the subconscious belief, for instance, oh, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm stupid, then you're going to then be able to see things that are really there. And that's more appreciation for yourself, things that you couldn't see before. You might want to ask yourself, what can you purge, let go of, or release? Anything that stays in your way of your happiness and fulfillment. This is called the house of self-undoing. It's how we screw ourselves. How do we self-sabotage? So it's a big letting go transit. It's a great transit for you to really reprogram your subconscious mind. It's definitely a good transit for you to lie low and not do much. Relax. Take a beat. Get extra sleep. A purple candle is perfect for a 12th house transit, and it's best to light that on Thursday, Jupiter's day. And remember, you're transitioning when you're going through a 12th house transit. So you can use these phrases when you're creating your wish list. This cycle or month, I call in. This cycle or month, I intend to. This cycle or month, I'm guided to. I'm guided to start. I'm guided to create. So you want to make sure that all 4 elements are represented. And I would light the candle the first 48 hours of your new moon. And you can write a wish list with these phrases. This cycle, this month, I call in love. This cycle, this month, I intend to make more money. I am guided to start a new fulfilling relationship. I am guided to create art that changes the world, etc. Now, for your releasing phase, this is when we have your full moon. Get out of the way. Relax. You did the work. Now it's a matter of you got to get out of the way. You don't want to micromanage this project. It's already in effect, boss. Relax, chill out, go get a coffee, right? The releasing cycle, the waning cycle right after the full moon is about allowing, letting go, and releasing resistance in regard to the matter at hand. So you don't want to insist or resist. You want to relax. You could, if you absolutely want to or need to, light a candle during the full moon cycle, the waning cycle, with the intention of releasing, banishing, removing blocks to your new moon goals, even though it's a full moon cycle. However, I think it's better to relax and let go if you can. That, I think, is more ideal. Oh, thank you, Kasmar. Absolutely. Always use a white candle because white is the combination of all colors. And you can impress upon that white candle whatever color you want. So, yes, thank you for your question, for sure. Additionally, tips and tricks, what you might want to do under the waning cycle or even the new moon cycle with a color that's associated with the new moon or full moon. You'll see it in this presentation. And I'll at least put the presentation on Substack, okay? So, with a color that's associated with the new moon or the full moon during its 2-week cycle. So, for instance, say we had a full moon in Leo. All right. Well, the 2 weeks after that, you'd want to wear red or orange or gold. You'd want to wear a fiery color, right? Because essentially, when you're wearing red or a fiery color, you're tapping into the element of the moon was in, and you're using that energy to help you get to where you want to go, right? So you always want to try to wear or favor those colors, right? Wherever the moon is. That's a really good trick. After determining the house placement for your new or full moon, ensure your list is balanced with all 4 elements represented. So go through this. You'll see it. On Substack. Oh, okay. Do I have a first house goal? Do I have enough fire goals, water goals, earth goals, air goals, etc. And determine whether you're an initiating cycle, a finishing cycle, or a transitioning cycle, and choose other wishes that align with that quality as well, or you could mix it up. So yeah, you can look at all of these and determine, what house the new moon is in and what you need to do. So does anybody have any questions before I get going? Anything else you want to know? If you don't have time to, or if you're not, don't have questions now, you can always put them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. And if you don't, that's fine too. And also, of course, you can check out my website, psychicsun.com, if you have anything that you need that I can help you out with, including spell work services. If you don't want to do a spell for yourself and you want me to do one for you, I can do that. It makes it better. Is it a lot to absorb? There's a lot to absorb. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to post this on my Substack, Haley. And thank you for the suggestion. And that's going to make things easier. You know, essentially what I would do, just make it really easy for you, go through the latest Taroscope video, find your sign or your rising sign. What did I say in terms of the house that it's in? Or if you're more advanced, you can just look at your chart. Oh, this moon is in my first house. Oh, that's cool. I'm going through a cardinal transit. And then you'll learn. But if you go through the Taroscope videos that I do, you'll see it'll be really clear. You're going through a first house transit, etc. So I'll put that there, but have a wonderful Halloween, everybody. Casmar, Haley, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I so appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow for This Week Astrology at 1 p.m. Eastern. And thanks everybody and have a wonderful Halloween. Okay. See you next time.